good evening, and welcome into another episode of Sports Zone. I am your host, Justin Ballou. The Mean Green football team has now won 2 games in a row and sits at 3-6 on the season. This week is homecoming week here at North Texas, and the Mean Green will have a big-time matchup against UTEP coming up this Saturday. Joining me to break down the game are analysts Alec Rapp and Chris Adams. Now, guys, before we dive into this homecoming game this weekend, let's flip the page back to last weekend's game against Southern Miss. The Mean Green rattled off 38 straight points in this game to take down the Golden Eagles 38-14. Alec, thoughts on the win?
Yeah, I mean, this is a bad Southern Miss team. This is a Southern Miss team that had won 1 game going into this game, and I think when you look down on our schedule prior to, the past couple weeks, we would have said, yeah, this is a win. North Texas had a great run game going, 321 total yards. First time this year that they've had 2 guys rush for over 100 yards. Isaiah Johnson with 119 and Ragsdale with 112. 3 touchdowns between the 2 of those guys. They really bolstered this offense to swiftly beat Southern Miss down 14-0. As you said, 38 straight points for the win.
Now, Chris, does winning 2 games in a row against Rice and Southern Miss mean anything?
It definitely means something because we have the momentum, and so we're a little better than we were. It's still not amazing because they're not very good teams, but at least we're in a better situation than we were in.
Well, looking at UNT's schedule, games 2 through 7 were going to be rough regardless of how well improved this team was. 5 out of the 7 opponents during that stretch are all now well above 500, and the 2 teams with losing records at the time are La Tech, who at the time we played them was playing some of their best ball, and Missouri, who of course is in the SEC. So now that UNT is playing some teams that's closer to their skill level, they've been playing pretty well and have been able to rattle off 2 straight wins. Alec, are the Mean Green a better football team than we thought they were a few weeks ago?
No, they're not. And I'll tell you why. Look, if you were to flip this schedule, so let's take Northwestern State that we played week 1, and let's just take the rest of this back end and flip it. Okay, so it's Northwestern State, you have UTSA, FIU, UTEP, Southern Miss, and Rice. If we look at that schedule, if that was our schedule the first 6 games, we're 5-1. And we're talking like, whoa, we're a good football team. We're not. Our defense is terrible. The secondary is bad. The only thing that works for us is our run game, and when that doesn't work, we have nothing else on offense because we go through about 3 different quarterbacks, and none of them know how to throw the ball very well. So our run game is the only thing we have. We're not that good.
What do you think, Chris?
I think we're better than people thought, but we're still not great. We're far from it.
Well, we've talked all season long about head coach Seth Luttrell and his possible future with this team. Does winning these last 2 games help his case to keep his job, Chris?
Not these last 2 games, and I would give him an ultimatum and say, if you can win a bowl game, that's your job because he hasn't won a bowl game yet, and if he can come back after that start and beat undefeated UTSA to get into a bowl game and then win that bowl game, then he has a shot at the job thing.
Well, speaking of bowl eligibility is still on the line for UNT, as crazy as that is. It would take winning these final 3 games, but even if we don't end up making a bowl game, how many games do we have to win, Alec, for this to just be considered a successful season?
No, it doesn't matter how many games. You can win 2 of those 3. I think you have to win 3 and a bowl game for this to be considered a successful season. When you're a football team in the state of Texas, you're expected to win. I don't care if you're Texas State, if you're UTEP, if you're Sam Houston. You are expected to win football games. This state is a football state. Tom Landry once said that football is to Texas what religion is to a priest. You have to win football games, and there's no amount of winning that they can do the rest of the year that is going to be a successful season for the Mean Green.
Well, the Mean Green are going against another Texas team this week in UTEP. Now, these 2 teams' season have been literally the complete opposite. As we mentioned, UNT started slow with the 1-6 record, but have won their last 2 games to get to 3-6. UTEP, on the other hand, started off their season really hot at 6-1, but has lost their last 2 games and now comes into Denton at 6-3 on the weekend. Chris, what kinds of things are you looking at with this UTEP team?
Well, one thing that I saw about their team that kind of scares me a little is their run defense is top 25 in the nation. Mm-hmm. However, I will say last week they played UTSA, and much like Wile E. Coyote from the Looney Tunes, they couldn't catch the Roadrunner. McCormick, the leading running back for UTSA, had 169 yards rushing, so maybe there's a chance with our offense on the run.
You know, I'm hoping there is, but the fact of the matter is, you know, you mentioned it, they're the number one defense in Conference USA. They're number 21 in the country right now. There's a couple players on that defense I want to talk about. Breon Hayward, their linebacker, leads the team in tackles with 70, but when you look at that front seven, it's going to cause some issues for Ragsdale, Johnson, Torrey, whoever is going to be our running back. They're going to have a really difficult time. You look down, Jadrian Taylor leads the team 6.5 sacks. The front four has combined for 14 sacks. And a guy to watch out for is Praise Amahule. He's got 17 tackles, 5.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. This is a defense that's going to give us a run for our money.
Well, UNT will take on the UTEP Miners on Saturday at 3 o'clock from Apogee Stadium. Make sure to catch Mean Green Game Day on Saturday morning at 10 for a full breakdown of that matchup. Not only are the Mean Green in town for a home game this weekend, but the Dallas Cowboys are too. We'll have more on their upcoming matchup after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back into Sports Zone. The Dallas Cowboys are coming off a 30-16 upset loss against the Denver Broncos at home last weekend. This Sunday, the Cowboys will look to bounce back when they take on the Atlanta Falcons. Joining me to break down the game are analysts Nicholas Ogele and Kevin Pacheco. Guys, last week was a bad loss for the Cowboys, and I don't think anybody saw that game coming at all. The Broncos were up 30-0 in the fourth quarter, so that 30-16 score is a little misleading as to how close that game actually was. Kevin, what went wrong for Dallas last weekend?
Honestly, I think the main thing was putting Terrence Steele at left tackle. He got destroyed by a rookie, what was he, like 196 pick in the NFL draft, and he was the replacement for Von Miller, and he looked like Von Miller. So I say that was probably the biggest problem. Dak Prescott couldn't get the ball out of his hands. He kept getting pressured, sacked, and we lost Zeke Elliott like in the first half. So.
What do you think, Nicholas?
It was Dak's first game back. I just think they looked a little past Denver. They had just come off that great win against Minnesota with Cooper Rush playing the entire game. So coming off of that, you think you could just do anything at the top of your game and everything. Come out and have a showing like that, you really just have to throw that one out. You gain nothing from, don't even watch the film. Just throw it out. You did nothing good in that.
So, Nicholas, do you expect the Cowboys to use this loss as motivation moving forward?
Motivation, yes. I think that it can only go up. There's nothing else to gain from that. They have to play better because they can't possibly do worse.
Well, Dak Prescott did get the start for the Cowboys last week after missing the previous game against the Vikings. And I think it's safe to say he didn't quite look like himself out there, and he certainly did not look like he was 100% healthy. Kevin, did the Cowboys make the right decision in starting him last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you're facing a Broncos team that, I mean, the defense isn't known to be really that good. Plus, especially just lost Von Miller, the best pass rusher. But I guess the team was just not ready to play. They didn't help him out. The O-line didn't protect for him. He lost his running backs. So everything was just against him that game. I mean, they made a good call starting him, but everything just went upside down.
Do you expect to see Dak on the field this Sunday? Is that safe to say?
Oh yes, he looked. I mean, he looked bad, but he looked healthy. So I don't think they would have let him go out there if he didn't look healthy. What I think what happened was, UNT's been winning recently. I think we played the Cowboys players on UNT and replaced the Cowboys players with UNT players is what it looked like. So on Sunday, so I think the Cowboys will be back and ready to play next weekend.
Well, Dallas is now 6-2 and in first place in the NFC East by 3.5 games. So the Cowboys clearly in the driver's seat for the division, but they have their sights set on a deep playoff run and hopefully potentially a Super Bowl run. So, Kevin, what would you say is just the state of this Cowboys team halfway through the season?
I mean, it's one loss. It's, brings them back to reality. They were riding like a 6-game win streak. Now they know we still got things to fix. We're not the best team out there. We just improve, take that loss, improve off of it, and try to get better. But I think they can make a pretty deep playoff run.
What do you think, Nicholas?
Yeah, same thing. I think we got to. I mean, Dak Prescott will look better next game. We'll put the ball through the air more. The receivers will catch and everything, and the line will be hopefully a little healthier, if anything. So yeah. What
do you two think needs to happen for the Cowboys during the rest of the regular season to put themselves in position for a playoff run? Is this simply a fully healthy Dak Prescott enough, or what's it going to take, Kevin?
Start Cooper Rush. No, I'm kidding. The offense just needs to keep playing the way they played all season. I mean, when the offense is playing good, the defense plays good. You saw when the offense could get nothing going, Teddy Bridgewater looked like that Prescott. So the offense just needs to carry the team.
I think we need to go take them helmets we had on with the red stripe and burn it, set it on fire, never see those again. It was a curse as far as I'm concerned. And, I mean, also, as far as I know you just asked that last question, as far as this next game, they haven't had a 100-yard rusher since this season at all. They haven't had one at all this season, and they've unlocked Cordell Patterson is what they have done, unlike any other team has done. So, if anything, stop Matt Ryan. He was looking like the MVP Matt Ryan last week. So, all we need to do is stop him, and, I mean, don't have to worry about them running the ball. So, I think we'll be all right.
Well, the Falcons are coming in at 4-4 on the season, coming off an upset loss in New Orleans last weekend against the Saints. Atlanta traded away their star wide receiver Julio Jones last offseason and have been without Calvin Ridley the past few games, their other big play wide receiver, as he takes some time away from the team to focus on his mental health. So this isn't quite the same Falcons offense as we've gotten accustomed to seeing, but still have some good players. On the Dallas side of things, Randy Gregory suffered a calf strain this week that's now going to keep him out some time. So my question for you, Nick, is how will Randy Gregory's absence affect this team, and what can the Cowboys do to slow down this Falcons offense without him?
I think it'll be big time. He leads the team in tackles and I believe sacks as well. He's maybe tied with somebody for that. But I mean, I think it'll affect us. Fortunately enough, it's Atlanta next week, so I think we'll be all right. But yeah, I mean, it'll be felt. It'll be felt for sure.
Kevin, what can the Cowboys do in his absence to slow down this team?
Yeah, I mean, they started off the season without DeMarcus Lawrence, Tertius Gregory, and Micah Parsons. So I think they should be in good hands with Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence.
If anything, we held our defense. I know it was 30-0 in this last one, but our defense gave our offense plenty of chances to get back in the game. Our offense just did not do anything with any of those chances. So if we hold them like we did last week, and our offense gets back to what we do best, then I think at the denouement of the season, big words, that's right, we'll be where we want to be in the big game in the Super Bowl.
So Kevin, assuming Dak starts as he's expected to do, what are your keys to the game offensively?
Offensively, I think they should just get the run game going. Turn Steele back at his original spot because left tackle is not working for him, and Dak should have a pretty good game.
Well, the Cowboys and the Falcons will be going at it at noon on Sunday from AT&T Stadium. Coming up next, we'll take a look around the NBA and discuss who we are buying and who we are selling. Stay with us. Welcome back into Sports Zone. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm your host, Justin Ballou. We are now 3 weeks into the NBA season, so it's time for us to take a look around the league and debate who we are selling and who we are buying. Joining me to do so are analysts Garrett Stringfellow and Andres Zayas. Guys, let's start this off with the Dallas Mavericks, who have started the year 7-4 under their first-year head coach Jason Kidd. Garrett, are you buying or selling the Dallas Mavericks?
I'll just go ahead and say it. I love the Dallas Mavericks, but I'm selling them. They're 7-4. They're 5th in the West as of right now. You look at their strength of schedule, they've had the 6th easiest schedule so far. They've beaten exclusively bad teams. You had a win versus Toronto before they went on their win streak. You beat Houston, you beat San Antonio twice, you beat the Kings, and then every good team you play, you get blown out. It's not even competitive. They lost to Atlanta, Denver, Miami, Chicago. All those games, over 10-point losses. Horrible offensively, 25th in the league in points, 27th in the league in assists, 28th in the league in free throw percentage. Can't even hit our free throws. Dallas is 6th in the league in three-point attempts, 26th in three-point percent. Clearly something is not working. You have to make a change. Luka obviously needs some help. He flirts with a triple-double every night. He's not shooting the ball well, 28% from three. The chemistry between him and Kristaps is all wrong. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, not shooting the ball as well as they should be. For me, it's a total sell.
Yeah, Garrett, just to pick up on where you left off, the Mavericks, they have a lot to figure out offensively. I do think that's partly because Jason Kidd, first-year head coach, there's a lot to implement, into this new offense. It's more mid-range oriented. But, still, the Mavericks need another shot creator. I mean, Luka is doing too much out there, and it's one thing to think about. I mean, it's really – I think they just need one more shot creator to really take them over the hump. And I would personally probably sell the Mavericks myself as well. I don't believe in this team, but apart from that, but yeah.
Now, what about the Golden State Warriors? This is a team that kind of seems to have found their groove a little bit this season. They're off to a league-best 10-1 start. Garrett, are you buying or selling the Warriors?
Buy. My entire life savings, buy. I'm betting it all on the Warriors. They are 10-1, best in the league. Don't have Clay, don't have Wiseman. Steph Curry has emerged as an MVP candidate. I mean, what else do you think? 27.4 points per game, 6.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds. Draymond, a triple-double machine. I don't know if he actually has one this year, but his stat is flirting with one. 8 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game. Supporting cast, Jordan Poole and Wiggins both put up 17 points a night. Damian Lee, 11 points a night on incredible efficiency. Otto Porter, Gary Payton II give a ton of help on defense. Nemanja Bjelica, an underrated pickup. He kind of does the same thing as Draymond. He's almost just another Draymond for them. Unbelievable team. Iguodala as well. I'm a huge buy on the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, disagree and add some contention here to the opinions, but I would buy the Warriors as well. I mean, they're lights out. Granted, their strength of schedule has been kind of easier compared to most teams, but if you're a good team, you're supposed to beat the bad teams, and 10-1 speaks for itself. They're first in net rating in the league. Steph Curry, and just the Warriors entirely, they look like they're picking up where they left off a couple of years ago with this dynasty, and I'm really excited to see how they play when Clay comes back. So.
Now, what about the Cleveland Cavaliers? This is a very young team that's off to a pretty impressive 7-5 start. Garrett, buy or sell?
I'm going to buy. You look at kind of the adverse of the Dallas Mavericks, how they had an easy schedule and they're kind of similar ranking. They've had a tough schedule, and they have good wins. They've had the 10th hardest strength of schedule. They've beaten Atlanta. They've beaten the Nuggets. They've beaten the Clippers, the Knicks. No real stars, but they are deep. They have the potential Rookie of the Year, Evan Mobley, who puts up 15 points a night, 8 rebounds, very efficient scorer. Needs to find that three-point shot a little bit, but he'll be okay. Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, all these guys putting up 15, 16, 13 points a game. Not to mention you have Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, Jared Allen. They are deep, and this team has no flaws, no weaknesses. They're kind of middle of the pack, but they do what they do, and they do it well. They slow down the pace. They get to the free throw line. I'm a huge buyer on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they make the playoffs. Guaranteed, I think they make the play-in, but I think they have a shot to make those top 6.
Yeah, I'll say the Cavs are definitely a surprise of a team. They're a very gritty team. Like you mentioned, they slow down the pace. And I actually want to mention one, the depth of this team. They have 6 players averaging double figures, and that's something to really think about. Jared Allen, he's a player that he's been doing really good on both sides of the ball, around 12 rebounds a game, actually, like 15 points average. But Colin Sexton, he is out for an extended amount of time with the torn meniscus, and that's another thing to consider. I am buying this team's progress, but I personally don't think it's something they can sustain throughout the whole season. So in that regard, I'll sell them. So.
Well, given the talent on their roster, the LA Lakers have gotten off to a pretty slow start themselves, too. They're off to a 7-5 start, and they've just been kind of chugging along this season, not really doing anything impressive. Buy or sell the Lakers, Garrett?
Total sell. Their team is old. They're injury prone. They have a lot of injuries right now, and you might be like, oh, they've had bad luck, whatever. They're old. They're going to have injuries. That's just part of the thing. They've had the 25th hardest strength of schedule, an extremely easy schedule. They're only 7-5. Granted, LeBron's only played in 6 games, but LeBron's not going to be there every single game. He's what, 37, 36? What? I mean, he's old. I mean, if they can stay healthy, and that's a big if, they'll probably make the playoffs. But I don't know. I don't see this team going to the finals. I don't see them really competing for a conference championship. It's huge sell.
Real quick, Launchers.
Yeah, I think it was apparent from the start that this team was going to be a work in progress whenever they traded for Russell Westbrook. They're still, trying to find his role on the team here. And it's like you mentioned, Garrett, it's a team that's struggling a lot with the injury bug. Personally, I do have faith in LeBron whenever he comes back and tries to make something work out of this team. But I'm also a big fan of Melo on that team too. But it's still a lot of questions to be answered. I'm really kind of on the fence if I want to buy or sell this team. But I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to say I'll buy this team. So.
Well, certainly lots of interesting storylines to watch for as the NBA season progresses. College basketball season is also here at UNT. We'll discuss UNT men's basketball after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back into Sports Zone. Basketball is finally back here at UNT. This Tuesday night was banner-raising night at the Super Pit as the men's basketball team raised both of their banners that they earned a season ago, including one for being the Conference USA Tournament champions and the other for reaching the NCAA Tournament round of 32. UNT then got their season tipped off to the tune of an 84-53 win over Oklahoma Christian. The victory marks 100 career wins for head coach Grant McCaslin here at North Texas. Here to talk about some UNT basketball are analysts Anthony Council and Brandon Brown. So guys, the Mean Green get their first win of the season in that game and wipe off a little bit of that off-season rust that they had. How about the game from the JUCO transfer Tyler Perry? His first game with the Mean Green, he comes off the bench on Tuesday night and leads the team in scoring with 22 points on 80% shooting from the field. Brandon, what did you think of his performance in his first game, and how excited are you to see what he can do in the future?
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, leader on the field, leader in the offense, 22 points. He was 8 for 10 shooting, 5 for 7 on three-pointers. He looked amazing. He's looking like he's going to be one of the best players on this team and definitely a leader on the field. I'm very, very excited to see what he does moving forward.
What do you think, Anthony?
I think the same. I mean, from watching the game, being at the game, covering it, I think that Tyler Perry is going to have a fantastic season. The head coach has said after the game in the press conference that he is one of the leaders of this season. He will be a leader. I mean, he drops, like we've said, 22 points. Just the only thing is just those free throws. Those free throws have to be a key. Those free throws are a key contributor to this season if they want to get another banner up in the rafters.
And that was my one concern from this game was the free throw shooting. UNT only made 6 out of their 13 free throws in this game. So, Brandon, do you think free throw shooting is going to be one of these lingering concerns this season?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm kind of embarrassed. I mean, everybody who went out there who took a free throw attempt, they missed at least one. Like, that can't happen. Like, those are free points that we're just throwing away in the garbage. If we want to beat these big teams coming up and our Conference USA rivals and all that, we have to fix this issue. And that's the thing, too. It's very fixable. I mean, free throws, I understand every once in a while, every game, there's some trouble, but this isn't something we should be having an issue on. This team's too good for that.
Well, the main storyline coming into the season for the Mean Green is all of the new faces on this roster. UNT is only going to return 5 out of their 15 players from a season ago, and among the players not returning are Javian Hamlet, James Reese, and Zach Simmons, who were 3 of the biggest contributors to this team a season ago. So, Anthony, with this new look roster, which newcomers are you looking forward to? We mentioned Tyler Perry. Is he one that you're looking forward to have a good season?
Yeah, actually, I was looking at a little bit of the freshmen. So, some of the freshmen who I think that are going to have a really big contribute to this season is guard, 6'4" guard Matthew Stone. He's a 6'4" guard. He won state at his high school last year in Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma. I think he's going to be really good. As from watching some of his highlights, he's very good from 3. I think adding that shooting for UNT is going to really help, and it's going to help spread the floor as well.
I am absolutely pumped about Matt Stone. What do you think, Brandon? Who you got?
I mean, I can't not be excited for Tyler Perry. I mean, losing 10 of our 15 players that made that playoff berth a year ago, it's just seeing players like this, it really makes you excited. This is something I'm loving seeing right now, and I'm just really excited to see how he goes through and how he can really kind of, bring this offense to a whole new level.
Well, the Mean Green will be going for 3 straight conference championships this season. For them to reach that goal, one of the veterans on this team, I think, is going to have to step up and really take a hold and lead this young roster. Who needs to be that guy, Anthony?
I was looking at the roster, and I mean, I would say Reuben Jones. He needs to step it up. I mean, last year in his second year, he only he was .41% from 3. He averaged 6 points a game last year from field goal range. He's going to have to step it up. I mean, he's going to at least have to have maybe not 22 like TP5, but at least average like double digits, at least to average 10 points a game if they want to get back to that conference level. Because I mean, you can't just give the ball to someone like Usman or Tyler Perry, because I mean, they're going to hold the load. If Jones is able to at least garnish a little bit of the baggage that TP5 or even Usman has, I mean it could help a lot.
Yeah, he certainly has huge shoes to fill with Javian Hamlet taking over that point guard spot. Brandon, who are you looking at veteran-wise to have a big year?
Yeah, like you said, I mean Jones, he looked kind of awful shooting.
Yeah, just a little bit.
He made 1 shot the whole game.
Yeah,
and he had the second most minutes too, but. I'm going to go J.J. Murray because he had the first most minutes in this game. He only made 5 for 9, 2 for 5, and 3 points. Not terrible, but when you're looking at a veteran like this, he's a graduate. I think he definitely needs to step up and show an example for these younger players on our team.
Well, we're going to learn a lot about this young roster over the next few months during their loaded non-conference schedule. As we look at the upcoming non-conference schedule for the Mean Green, there are a ton of exciting matchups. UNT has a home game against Buffalo coming up this Monday. They have a game against currently number 3 ranked Kansas on Thanksgiving Day. That's part of the ESPN Events Invitational Tournament. They've got home games against Nevada, UMass, and Tulsa, and a road matchup against Wichita State, all in the month of December. Anthony, real quick, which of these games are you looking at as being the most exciting?
I'm looking at Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be a very good game. After watching the game that they played against Michigan, Buffalo has a lot of versatility. They have a lot of big men. They have very good, quick guards. The one thing that UNT has, as I've talked about, is Usman. He is a very versatile big. He is he's quick on his feet. He's able to get in the paint very fast. But Buffalo has a lot of big men who are just like him. So it's like, okay, who's going to win that matchup against UNT and Buffalo on Monday?
Well, the Mean Green will be back in action on Monday as they take on Buffalo at home at the Super Pit. That's all for us here on Sports Zone. Make sure to join us on Saturday morning at 10 on Mean Green Game Day for a full breakdown of UNT football against UTEP. And join us again next week on Sports Zone on Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 for our final episodes of the season. Have a great night.